Give me a minute, I'll just have a check.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're live.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in for another episode of Beyond Code. Let me bring to you the speaker of the session, which is Srihari. We're going to talk about a very interesting angle that Srihari spoke. And the first time when we spoke, he spoke a lot about the purpose, right? How he actually started understanding the power, and he's actually built it throughout his career in terms of whatever has been passed from his parents, about driving through a purpose and really building it out and really building it for long. Interestingly, Srihari also pointed out that he had and really feels the power of why rebase exists. And he strongly relates to that part that, yes, today, the larger challenge that we have out there in the engineering world is to get them ready. And to be honest, get them ready for the fast moving environment. With this prelude, I'll quickly introduce Srihari. Srihari has over 15 years of experience in the industry, has been part of a lot of product development, research across multiple organizations, has a very strong experience of building team and ideally high-performing teams across organizations from start. Currently, he's the vice president of Noodle.ai, an interesting startup today, well known across the market, well funded as well. That's what we can say. Apart from what he does regularly, Srihari is a very passionate content creator, as he writes on his LinkedIn profile, but he's also known for good understanding of finance, management overall. Thanks a lot, Srihari, for joining us today evening. It is a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much.
Great. Srihari, I won't really waste a lot of time in terms of giving and really waiting people to listen from you. The idea that I would really want you to help us understand that you've been into I think you mentioned that you started your career in the IT field, right? What was your first job all about? What was your major focus when you started your career in the computer science? And what was those triggers?
Yeah, sure. So the way I reached computer science has a journey to it. I started off as an embedded developer and then joined the computer science. It's just because it's fascinated me on the power of what we can do using a programming language like Java or Python today, which is more famous. But that journey to reach computer science is an important one for me. The way embedded systems, when I was working with my father, then the way things, it helped me to understand what problems could occur, how to tackle a problem, right? That journey went in, and I saw moving beyond embedded systems and getting into computer science was a necessity. Even though my father had predicted in the past that you should do computer science, which I ignored. but getting in that industry boom 2005 was an important career switch. But the journey started in 2005. Slowly I moved into computer science, and from there on it has taken off.
So wanted to also understand, I think lately we've also now know that now from computer science, a lot of people are predicting embedded systems to basically last. So you never know, you might be back in an embedded system world. But can you help us understand, you mentioned about your dad and you mentioned that today and right in the first question, can you give us some of the tips, ups and downs, how exactly his learnings have been? What are those things which stays with you throughout whenever you are making any decisions day in and day out?
Yeah, sure. So when I started off, as I said, I started working with my father. Even though I was searching for a job around after my graduation, I had continued working with my father. I was employed in his small office he had. He was consulting these data centers where they had to maintain power fluctuations, and so he had built a large device for it. So this 2005 was a year where people seeing the trend of things becoming smaller and smaller. Mobile phones had come, which was smaller, handheld. He also had to go through that transition, which was again important lesson that taught me because when he had to undergo that transition, he had to I and him work together to break down his large device into smaller chunks. And that's when my experience was of how to approach a problem, narrowing it down to a particular component, and then further breaking it down, focusing on the things that makes really important, fixing certain aspects which really adds value in solving that problem. That experience came in during that time. The whole journey of taking a component from his large device, understanding it, breaking it down further into different subcomponents, designing it, implementing it, understanding the user engagement into that product, and then finally assembly and production. This entire process I got to be when I was working with my father. And even today, the even though the whatever roles I have played, this has not changed because whenever a problem comes in, I approach it in the same way. And I know until I reach the place where it goes into production or it reaches the end customer, the work is not done. So a lot of people, what they do is they finish it, the implementation, and they forget it. Oh, this my job is done. It not actually is. You should go until it hits the user. They give feedback. You go back and check, and only then your job or that work completes. And that's when you can gracefully exit out of that. Otherwise, you can't.
Right. So I think your father was agile way before agile methodology was. That's what I can understand, right?
Yes, he was.
That's loud and clear for us to take back. Interesting. You also mentioned, obviously, that you've been building and you've been out there really building and doing the whole small packet, small versions of every problem that is thrown to you. Interestingly, you had a very interesting stint of staying at 12 years, right, at SubX, right? A place where I saw that you've actually, I may say, I don't know, I should take that liberty to say that you've grown in that place, right? Can you, or what was it like? What was the whole learning experience like? And what exactly did you build, if you can give some kind of a highlight during that whole journey?
Yes, SubX, it's a journey that I will cherish for all throughout my career until the time that I continue to work. 12 years is not a small commitment you make in your career to an organization. But really, SubX has given me all those experiences that one would want. I started off my computer science journey or getting into IT industry through SubX. So I was very eager to know what was happening, how to write a software. Given that I was already having that inherently that problem solving experience with my father, I wanted to explore how a programming language can solve more problems, at higher level problems. How can it impact the industry? How can it impact the organization? So on and so forth. That eagerness was there. So when I started as a developer, problem solving was there. I understood the programming language, and then I started off there. So, but my growth was there, definitely. I had a very consistent growth because I was very aggressive in my approach. I was always constantly learning and exploring. So I started off as a junior developer there, and then I moved to senior developer. I moved to a technical lead kind of a role over the periods. And then I finally hit the engineering manager for a product team over there just before I exited SubX. So throughout this 12 years span, I have played various roles. I have played a developer role. I have played a lead role. I was working with pre-sales to do pilots and POCs. I was facing the customers, talking to them directly and understanding their problems, trying to do delivery and deployment. I have played places where I have done training to the team. I have done product development. There was an ongoing product which I took over and started bringing in more focus into product, making it better, and then coming out with process definitions on how can it be make it better, process oriented. So 12 years, that's why I said all the roles that one would want to do in their career, I have done in that 12 years. And that's the advantage. And there was a clean growth, you would say that linearly how it you want to do, that's how it was. And that's why those moments are, even today, I remember as if it has happened yesterday. And that's why, and I keep cherishing and always remember SubX for at least that. no matter how difficult it was. I mean, of course, any organization goes through ups and downs over the years. There were times when the market was down, no customers were coming in. But no matter what difficulties were there, but SubX as an organization do support their employees in this way. And also, I also have a lot of good support at that time with my managers, with the other senior managers who kind of thought that this is a guy who can do something. let's give him that support. So in that way, that organization has helped me to learn all aspects of a software development lifecycle, and that's where that the underlying software background comes into me.
So I'll go deeper in this particular aspect. Obviously, today the world is known to have a median years of working in a company is 1.7 years, 2.1 years. That's the kind of data that often we are told that IT industry on average you have this. What's your piece of advice? Do you feel if everything starts again today, would you do the same thing? Would you stay keeping aside companies like SubX to really build someone's career, or do you think no? What's your piece of advice to young folks out there when they are majorly looking into startup or maybe starting an organization? Do you recommend climbing the whole ladder, really doing it? What's your take?
Yeah, it is important to at least climb 2-3 ladders in an organization, which at least makes a commitment of 5 to 7 years. Without this, you will not become an expert, or you will not gain that knowledge that is needed to grow further. That's the key thing that everybody misses. Today, younger generation, even I have seen many come into peer pressure that somebody got into Google, so it is my time to search for a job. That's not how to build a career. If you have to build a career, you have to give commitment to a certain organization. But choosing that organization also becomes important. So if your aspirations are correct from the start, that I want to become this person after, let's say, 15 years, then choose the right company, to choose the right strategies to get there. And then you obviously inherently gives that commitment, because you know that you have to grow. And also the other thing is, you have to build an expertise over a time. It cannot happen over a night. So, I mean, given that a lot of younger generation have less patience nowadays, so they expect to build their expertise over a night using, nowadays the ChatGPT becoming is more popular, that I can write a code, I can bring up a website in no matter how many hours. But that's not how you build a career. So, being consistently performing and consistently learning what makes a career growth. So, and of course, commitment to some organization at certain level, at a certain stage of your career is very important. Otherwise, again, you will be jumping from one organization to organization, and after 15 years, you don't know where you are, and that's where the problem starts.
Got it. Interesting. You also mentioned, Srihari, about, I think you started facing clients, as far as I understand, at SubX, right?
Yeah.
That would have been your journey to really come out of those closed doors of just being a coder and then going out and really. So, any interesting anecdote you would like to share about client handling, anything that you would like, any erratic client, or any great client?
Yeah, see, I always had this problem. I never wanted to be on my comfort zone. I mean, if I start becoming comfort zone in one area of work, then it becomes jittery to me. So whenever an opportunity given to me, or whenever I see an opportunity to go and do something very, very different, I grab it. And this was one of such opportunity grabbing that I did. And there were times when people used to hesitate to go into customer calls. They were saying that program managers or managers go and attend, but I was not hesitant. I wanted to face that wrath of customer complaints and facing that and giving them a convincing answer to give us time to solve the problem. So yes, there are many such situations where I had to get onto a call where the customer stakeholder was very angry that things were not working, and then we had to convince him. But what I've observed is, whenever you come up with a plan with them and you kind of stick to that plan and you go back, always keep referring to that plan, saying that, hey, this is what we agreed, this is what we wanted to do, this is where we are, they kind of calm down over a time and they start getting that rhythm that, yes, these guys can deliver. And that is what has my learning been. Of course, there are people who have also have worked with at customer sites who have helped me to understand the business as well, how things work, how they use the product. That first-hand information, I have got to see it when I was working very closely with few of the stakeholders in some of the customer deliveries. That is a experience that I will cherish again for lifetime. Because if you know how the product is getting used at the end user, how a stakeholder, a sponsor are coming and telling that this is how we will use your product and this is why we want your product, that's a proud moment. And that's the information that you will need, because without that end user mindset, or how a product gets adopted in an organization or a big enterprise, is very important knowledge to have. Only then you can build more products. Only then you can understand how users think and how you have to design your product. I manage a UI team today, so and it becomes, those experiences come in handy. So sometimes you have to be lazy to come up with UI, because customer is not going to click hundreds of buttons. So that you have to reduce it. So these are the kind of decisions you will start making when you have that kind of a knowledge.
Interesting. So right now, the whole learning of being into a service play and then actually doing it out in the product is what's the reverse that you've built. Awesome. You mentioned about handling UI team. Obviously, would love to understand a little bit more about, I understand Noodle is well known across the globe today, but yes, can you help us understand a little bit what you've been building so far at Noodle and a little bit background about Noodle as well, if you can?
Yeah, so Noodle as an organization, we are into supply chain domain, and we are trying to bring AI and ML to help our customers to do better predictions of their demand and inventory. That's where we play, and for that you need a very robust UI. You need an easy usable UI so that they can configure our models easily and they start getting those predictions. So ML AI itself is a complex piece of thing that exists today, right? And then breaking it down into UI, which is more easily configurable, you can imagine the trouble that we go through. So that's where we are today, and we are trying to optimize our UIs more and more, and trying to understand what are the better ways to do it. And that's where we are, and that's what we are trying to build. And objectively is our Noodles as an organization, we are trying to reduce all the unnecessary waste happens because of wrong decisions that is made by the planners. And that's where our proposition is that use our product and then help you to build a better planning system, better forecasting system, and which will again help, giving back to the world again, right? Reduce all the unnecessary waste that happens because of that. That is the objective.
So gradually, I think that there are concepts of net zero, and I think that gradually you're gonna, I think, take world there, which I think has now become something which everyone believes it's a must-have. It should have started earlier, but I think platforms like yours are actually accelerating that growth. Interestingly, I think in Noodle there's a very interesting diversity which comes into picture, right? It's a well-known diverse culture, and you would be interacting and working with folks across the world. How do you generally handle that kind of? There are a lot of mindset shifts that happen when you're working with global teams. How can someone handle that? What's your piece of advice?
Yeah, so see, global is a need today. Global teams are, inherently coming in every organization. It's no more like it's only US or only India or only some China or Japan. You work across people, across cultures, across different mindsets. The best thing that Noodle as an organization, we, at least what I have seen, or even in some of the previous organizations that I have worked, I have seen is, if the objectives for this global team is clear, then nothing will stop. Because however you think, however your culture is, whatever it is, if the alignment to a single objective is clear, then everything will fall in place. The automatic inherent collaboration, understanding each other, working towards a common goal of success to meet an objective, right? That will come inherently. And that is something many organizations have to do. Before even starting a team globally, an objective has to be set clearly to that team that, hey, this is where we want to go. This is what success means to us. And these are the roles and responsibilities of each one of them on how to help in achieving that objective. Once that is clear, I mean, nothing will stop that organization.
All right. So if I would ask you that if you need to explain in one word the culture or the culture that is there in Noodle, what would that word be for you?
Work hard, party hard.
Work hard, party hard. So you guys party nights. That's loud and clear for us. Okay, that's the piece of advice. That be the piece of advice for anyone who is looking to maybe start his career, as that you need to know how to party hard?
Yeah. So see, culture-wise, I mean, yeah, we do have a very specific culture. I mean, we look for people who come with a learning mindset, who are not narrowed down. I want to work on this programming language. This is now the famous, picking up a programming language. I want to work on it. I mean, that narrow mindset will not help. A person who is open-minded to learn, understand, build expertise on tools, not restricting to certain work, coming and exploring, researching, building expertise, and mostly problem solving. And especially in a startup, problem solving, making decisions on design is where a lot of work goes. So that kind of a mindset is very important for us. And that's when we hire people, we look for these qualities. Right, narrowed mind is not going to work. And it's also true for any other organization. People who have narrowed mindset, well, they do survive. Again, it goes back to their growth aspirations. If they have huge growth aspirations, then they cannot become comfortable with one programming language or one area of work. They have to explore and build that knowledge base. Unless you have that built knowledge base, you will not be able to grow, because you'll not be able to make decisions, strategies. You'll not be able to do it.
So I would add from your tagline that you mentioned, it should be hustle, work hard, party harder.
Party.
Right? That's the kind of a must-have. I understand that's whole thought process. So also wanted to, I think you must be interviewing for your candidates, and I know you've built your team also from scratch at Noodle. What are your must-haves? What are your qualities, or what's your, I would say, basically where you get that vibe? Okay, this guy, apart from the fact that you mentioned that, okay, if someone says that I'm going to stay in this particular language or going to stay in this particular, so that's a mindset is where you identify as a closed mindset and not as someone who would out there and really building it across multiple, or maybe, for example, someone can be thrown a problem and he would find his way. Are there anything else that you keep in mind when you are doing those checks while you're having a conversation with your next hire?
Yeah, I do ask about the career aspirations. What is that person is, the thought process is. If the career aspirations are not clear in somebody's mind, then that also adds a lot of pressure to us, because again, it becomes the stability problem, commitment problem, right? I mean, getting into a startup mode is slightly different to getting into a large organization or a medium-sized organization. Medium-sized organization, there will be good amount of teams, there will be process already set, there will be things rolling, you have to just get in, and then the rest of the things moves with the rest, right? So, but in a startup, you need a specific kind of thought process where you have to come in with a lot of unknowns. You have to understand, maybe Google may not help all the time. So that aspiration, if it is not clear with somebody that yes, I can take a problem and solve it, or I want to grow by solving problems and being part of that strategies that happens over a time. Sometimes we change strategies suddenly over a night. So being that flexible is also important, so that having that aspiration that yes, I want to grow in this path, that becomes important. So I do ask that aspiration. The other thing that I do ask in my interviews are like, what is that person is expecting from his new organization? I mean, he is part of an organization probably which is much larger than Noodle, or much smaller than Noodle. But when he comes to an organization like Noodle, what is his expectation? I mean, he wants to sit at home, work, or he wants to be part of a team, whether he wants to collaborate, whether he has some expectation that I want to work on certain goals when I come in. And these are the things that will give me a vibe that yes, if I hire this guy, then I can work with him. Then my team can work with him. Because when I have built a team, all of these questions happens to all of them. They have gone through all of these rigorous meetings with me and sessions with me. So in whichever organization I have built, I have made sure that they fit the current team very well. If they have slight differences, then the balance of the team goes away. So that fitment is very important. If the fitment is not there, well, again, either I have to spend a lot of time with that person, or one more person in the team will spend a lot of time with that person, getting him aligned to a particular team. So all of this helps me to understand the fitment to an existing team. And also that person should also come in with that mindset that, yes, I'm getting into a new team, and there are ways in this team is working. The way I work could be slightly different. I have to be flexible to understand, adjust. That mentality is needed. There are many rejections in my interviews, not because of their technical skills. It is because of mostly from fitment. See, technical skill is something you can build. You can give them opportunities to learn, and if they are good enough to understand that, they will automatically learn. If the fitment is not correct, then you cannot do anything. So mostly my rejections are because of the fitment problem.
Mindset for you is overpass skill.
Yeah,
I think
skill can be, yeah, you can bring it up, but not a mindset. Mindset is I mean, if you have certain way of thinking, that's it. I mean, you can't change it. Very, very difficult to change somebody's mindset.
Interesting. Yeah. So also, while you are interviewing the whole process, right, hiring itself, a lot of times people find it as a nightmare, right? I understand the reason is pretty simple that you mentioned that a lot of times you get the right skill. Any particular challenges that anything particular that you have done in order to reduce or maybe improve your hiring process? Now, I think you've already built your team, so you might have anything that you would like to highlight, or anything that you'd like to share if people out there who are looking to build their team can learn from.
Yeah, so having this, so generally the way I do interview of any opening is first discussion will be with me, not the last discussion. So that I can set an expectation right at the beginning, even before he gets into any technical decisions. I can set the right expectation. And the other problem that I have seen generally is people have read a JD, but they have a lot of questions. A lot of questions on what we do, what company is doing, what will be my day-to-day activities, how will it be different from what I am doing today, what challenges I face, what opportunities I have. So people who are really interested in getting into a certain organization, right, they will have all of these questions. So it is important for me to answer those questions right at the start, instead of I mean, losing a battle and then going and trying to fix that battle, right? So because many times you lose a candidate not because of their technical skills or the kind of remuneration they get. It's because they don't know what I will do in this organization, even though they have done great in a technical interview. If that alignment is not there, if they see themselves, yes, I will fit this organization, I'll fit this kind of a place, I will be happy in this kind of place. If they don't have that feeling right from the start, I mean, no matter how good they have done in the technical interview, there is always a chance that they'll fall out almost at the end. So my attempt has always been to set a right expectation, get them feeling almost a virtual feel that they're onboarded, like give them a feel that yes, they're already doing some work. So that has really helped to convert and gathering some great skills, great talent in the market, right? Attracting those kind of people to Noodle has helped. And this is one learning probably I will take, that anybody who knows about the organization a little better, anybody knows who about the roles and responsibilities, who can give that clarity to the candidate right at the start, that would benefit a lot.
I think this is a learning that you would actually not take it. In fact, we will also take it that you actually reverse the funnel altogether. So that's great to hear that you're ready to face. To be honest, the music often that people want that after this round, that we will have the VP of engineering being bugged upon. But it's great to hear that you're right at the front and really leading it from the ground. Glad to hear that, to be honest. And kudos to you, Srihari, for that. Very rare that we've heard this from people to come back. Awesome. Moving on, you've mentioned a lot about how you've been hiring, but yeah, the larger questions that remains is an embedded systems guy moving to computer science. But what will be the tech look like? What is your version of the whole technology? Maybe a few years from now, looking like. What's your verse? Will it be a metaverse, or will it be what's the verse that you are visualizing into the world of tech?
Yeah, so tech will keep evolving. I mean, ChatGPT is another evolution we have seen. There was a time when everybody was so passionate about learning Java. It was so complex, objects, classes. Now ChatGPT. So yes, it will be evolving. That's for sure. The key thing is how organizations and leaders, managers, adopt to those evolution is what makes a difference. Whether people want to learn ChatGPT and do something with it, or just for fun they do it, makes a difference. If they are able to find out all of these evolutions that happens in next 100 years, coming years, right, and slowly adopting it, being a constant evolutioner will definitely help. Because technology is not going to stop; it will evolve. It's the people who have to adapt to it. I mean, how we have adopted to smartphones over a time, and things like ChatGPT adoption in your product or in your organization itself, will make lot of things much more better. A good example for this, how ChatGPT can help is, let's say you have to onboard a person, and he is given a ChatGPT console, and he types a question, where is this module, or what is this module about? He writes a question, and ChatGPT gives him all the links to documents, internal documents, code links, some recorded videos that would have given in during a transition, or some webinars that would have happened within the organization. Assume this is given to an onboarding new person. What a powerful thing that it will happen. Onboarding becomes so smooth. Hours and hours of spending in meetings, sessions, whiteboarding, making that person understand. Each one of us have a learning curve. So all of it will just become that console, and that person can use that console in the way he wants to use it, right? And then at a pace that he wants to do it. And today, online courses are sold that with a statement that you can learn in your pace, right? That's their mantra. Imagine doing that in an organization while onboarding a person. That's the power. This is how, if you are able to adopt, find a proper use case of the evolved technology into your organization, into your process, into your thought process, into your team, I mean, you will be always top of the world. I mean, that's where organizations should start thinking about. This is all about strategies, right? I mean, as a VP of engineering, I know these kind of strategies. I know my head of engineering does this kind of discussion. I mean, we keep doing these kind of discussions on how to adopt these tools. And I'm pretty sure there are so many organizations out there who are looking at how can we adopt certain tools? How can we do it? And there are services based organization who are trying to say that, hey, this is how we can help you to become better because we know how this tool works, right? So building, and for people like who are on the ground, who is doing work, coding, and every day they are struggling, they also need to think, can they build an internal tool using ChatGPT, or internal tool with something which out there in the market, which help them to do their job better. So right now the thought process is that, if I adopt something, will I lose my job? that's the primary question everybody has. Actually, no, that's not true at all. If you adopt a new technology, you will have something else to do better, which could help you to grow in your career, and you can meet your aspiration probably much faster. Look at it from that perspective. Adopting the tool can help you in many ways. Not losing a job, not losing job is not one of them. It will definitely help to grow. So the people who are on the ground also should start thinking, how can they strategically adopt some of these evolutions that are happening in their day-to-day activities? Like, for example, there could be a product support. I mean, many of us see that, the chatbot that's there on sitting on the corner of all the websites nowadays. It's because the organizations has reduced the process of, quick questions that people want to ask. For that, they don't have to call, call center and then do. I mean, it's a wastage of time, wastage of resources. So instead of that, why don't we embed a chatbot? Imagine chatbot helping a production support to solve a ticket, or a chat GPT helping to solve a ticket by listing out all the probable SOPs. So that's how you adopt. That's how you become more and more better at what you do. And that's how, as I always say, that come out of your comfort zone. Don't sit in your comfort zone. Don't say that I will do this forever and expect managers to promote as the time comes. That's nowadays in modern world, that's not going to happen. They have to adopt, they have to bring in value addition back, and only then that career growth will happen. Otherwise, it's going to become stagnant for sure. And this is where, tech will not stop. It will evolve, because people are there out there who wants to do better things, better rollout things, do something different from what they are doing. So to answer your question, this is how I see the tech evolution will get involved or ingrained in every organization.
True. I think you've touched upon various aspects, to be honest. And now I remember today morning I read in a newspaper, it was a highlight that a 22-year-old loses 90% of her jobs because she used to ghostwrite assignments of ChatGPT. And somewhere one of my wife comes and says that this is what tech is going to do. But yes, largely we have to understand that we were really not doing the job that we're known for. We were actually just paraphrasing, and that's what ChatGPT has solved. But yeah, it's time for us to really wake up and really ask the kind of job that we were doing, instead of getting it out and really doing the wrong version of things. That's one part of the story. I think also you mentioned about how ChatGPT can really be leveraged at an organization level. People have not, to be honest, not adopted to it. I think still it's in early stages, but yeah, that's a big shout out for folks who really need to start thinking of. I think there's a huge, immense potential of ChatGPT really becoming that intern who can go out across multiple department and gather that information which you otherwise would have lost. Interesting. I'll move on and now have very specific questions for you. It's more of a rapid fire that we have. So obviously I do not have the hampers that we often see in the rapid fires with me, but yeah, it would be more of a simple rapid fire that we can go across. So the first question to you is remote or WFO?
Work from office, always.
Work from office. So I remember you mentioned about whiteboarding when we spoke the very first time. So I think you like the whiteboard and you want people to look at you, you want to have discussions. That's clear. YouTube or Instagram?
YouTube.
The longer versions or the shorter versions?
Mostly the longer versions.
Longer versions. Got it. Yoga or gym?
Gym preferred.
Cool. Management or technology?
Obviously management. Management inherently brings technology.
That's good one. That yeah. Now that I've grown, I think your tech has brought management, but yeah, now you want to management. Now it's becoming tech. Interesting. Early bird or night owl?
I'm actually both, but if I have to pick one, I'm a night owl. I will work long hours. I sleep very late.
Engineering days, I think that stayed. That's the
even today I'm like that. I work late. I because I have that mindset of reading things and doing things, exploring things. So I inherently finish my work and then I get into my personal work. So that keeps going on. So that's why I'm a night owl.
Interesting. Cool. You also mentioned the other day, Srihari, about the content. I think you tried and you started with your own YouTube channel as well. A quick walkthrough of what was there. Do we see you back again? What's the journey like into the world of content?
Yeah. So the reason why I started that is because, again, I have gone through all of these management hurdles when I was getting into management. Management was not, I mean, a lot of people said, "Srihari, you should not get into management." Well, again, the thought process I always had that, yeah, do something that I don't get comfortable. So that's how I got into management. And I have faced problems. It's not that I haven't. Even though I had the knowledge of how a product works, facing customers, all of that, even though I had all of that experience, becoming a true manager, like transitioning from an individual contributor to a management role is a journey. A lot of people don't want to do that journey, or they struggle during that journey. And sometimes during the struggle of that journey, they say, okay, now this is not my cup of tea. Let's go back to being an individual contributor. But again, if you're not aspirant to get into higher roles and you are trying to step back, then there's always issues in that. So the reason why I started my blogs was to help those struggling or people who are in crossroads of making a decision whether to move forward or to go backwards, or people who are struggling after taking a management role, even though they didn't like it, they wanted to explore, but now they are struggling, to help those kind of managers, because I do see that it's happening. So that's why I do see that there is a need to share information which will help them. I mean, today, structuring an information in a way that people can understand or consume it and adopt it is an important aspect that all of us miss. So my attempt is, whatever my experiences have been, my struggle have been, or whatever I've learned through that struggles, or whatever frameworks that I have built on my own to solve my problems, that is what I write about. I mean, YouTube is something that I'm thinking of starting. I have done few YouTube channels. I've shut down few YouTube channels. All I've, again, experiments, right? This is my inherently I do something. Start a channel, see how thing goes, talk about it. And then, I'm talking to when the video is on is very difficult for a lot of people. So even I had that problem when I started my first YouTube channel and I wanted to get into the camera. So that's how the journey has been. And yes, YouTube channel is something is there in my, my thought process. Right now, it is only text. I'm writing blogs. In a month, I attempt to write 3 blogs on a specific topics, which are kind of interrelated to people who are struggling, who need information. And, I keep reading. LinkedIn is one of my favorite social. That is the only one that I actively use. No Instagram, no Facebook. So whenever I get into these forums or groups where there are questions related to such, that's where, I try to see what my view on that topic is. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but that doesn't stop me writing.
Any YouTube channel that you extremely recommend people to follow, or any LinkedIn person that you recommend people should follow?
Yeah, I mean, there are many groups. Generally, I don't have a suggestion in this regard. I do follow Akshat. I mean, Akshat is one of the very popular YouTube channel who talks about a lot of finance. I do follow Ankur Warikor. His videos are great. And I mean, I watch not for his personal, finance related YouTube, but even though he talks about a lot of finance, but he always bring an entrepreneurial angle to it, or an aspiration to become financially free. And that thought process is what I like to watch, those channels. And these are the 2 main channels when it comes to finance. Leadership, I don't have a recommendation, because even I struggle to find it hard to kind of get a content which is precise or which is very clearly documented. It's all their experiences, their way of looking at it. Sometimes it is commercialized, sometimes it is coming from their courses. So it's not really coming out of their aspirated, I mean, the kind of problem solving. It's not coming from that. So I don't have a recommendation when it comes to management.
Got it. You also read, I remember, right? So any
Yes.
books you advise that people should definitely read and add to their bookshelf?
Yes, I suggest they read about hard things. There is a book that is a must read. There is one about I forget its name, but just give me one. But there are several management books. But if somebody wants to read it, they should read Hard Things About Hard Things.
Absolutely.
They get all the management related aspects. Working in a startup, how do you hire? I mean, my experiences have become evolved after even reading that book. I've read that book like twice or thrice. So many things are there. If you read it carefully, you'll definitely get a lot of information from that. That's must read for sure.
Awesome, cool. Anything that you have? I think you also anything particular that we see you in future. So one is definitely that we'll expect you to become a content creator. That's something. Anything else you're looking to go back and really deliver to the society at large? Anything that you're working on that plans?
Right now, no. Only I'm looking forward for YouTube, and I have a course in Udemy launched, published in live, and it talks about how to get started in a management role. That course is about that. I'm trying to see if I can bring more courses in Udemy as well. So these are the few things that I'm. This is my personal project.
Awesome. Cool. I think, Sherry, those are questions from my end. I'll quickly jump on to the questions that the audience have posted so far. I think one of the first questions has been that, what is the one thing that you would like to change about your professional experience? So what's the thing that you would want to just erase or from your so personal experience?
It's a very hard question for me.
Any regrets? If I could put it in the motivational aspects, any regrets?
This is a very tough one for me because the thought process I have is that I like to learn from any opportunity that I get. I mean, there was a time in my career where I have worked for people. They say that this is the worst customer you have to be part of. There is nothing in it. There is no work going on. I used to get into that project work, call the customer and ask, hey, what is your problem? Why are you not using the product that we have delivered to you? What is your problem? Because for me, not being in a comfort zone, consistently learning is inherently there. So I would not like to change anything, because every learning that I have got from every state of my career is important for me. Even however worst it is. There was a time when I was struggling to find a job because I was not good at speaking, but there was a learning. I could make out that talking a better English or a better communicator, not just by an English as a language, but also whatever language you speak, you want to learn. Being a better communicator is important. Otherwise, you'll not be able to reach the people. You'll not be able to bring out your ideas. So I have learned it in a very hard way for certain aspects. So that's why I say it's a very hard question to me. I don't want to change anything, at least now.
So ideally, what I've learned today from the discussion that we have is you've changed the way of to looking at. I think you've changed when you've come in right at the front when the hiring happens. So you're changing how the way the general. So no regrets. Whatever happens is a learning for me. That's
Yes.
a cool way to address. Cool. One thing that people have asked is majorly, what's keeping you awake being the VP of engineering? Or what's that challenge that you often think that,
so it's not just about VP of engineering. VP of engineering is a designation, but being in a management, or I call management as not a manager role or a VP, it's being more at a strategic position. So that's a key role that you play. whether you are a entry level manager or probably sitting at the highest level of management, you are at a strategic position, and that's what keeps me awake, because making strategical decisions, planning way ahead that somebody can even think of a scenario, and then making a plan for it, and making risky decisions. You know you are going to fail in this project, but is there a way that you can still make it successful? Again, I believe that failure is relative to something. It's not failure is relative. You can still bring success out of it, you can still bring learnings out of it. There are times when I have given goals to my team where I said that I know this is a screw up, but can you make this in a different way so that next customer, when we work, we can use this knowledge, we can use this research and reduce the time by, let's say, 1 month. If I am able to achieve such things, and this requires a strategical thinking, decision making, taking risks, planning ahead, all of this is management. So this is something that I like to do. So, and that's why I have to read a lot. I have to know the product inherently. I mean, this is how I have to get ready for it, right? I need to know how product works. I need to know how customer thinks. I know what the goals of the sales teams are. I know what domain experts are looking at. So I get to see all of their views, and then I have to make a decision to support them to become successful. And that's, being in that strategic position is a thrilling experience.
Interestingly, so I think your role majorly is not VP of engineering, it's somewhere VP of micro everything, slash entrepreneur, slash, right, the strategic advisor in a lot of ways to the company at large. So it's
At
just
least,
not VP.
thanks to all the organizations that I have worked. I mean, I have given that I've been in a culture where this is supported. Many organizations are there where I have heard from my colleagues, my acquaintances, friends, that they don't allow you to explore, I mean, or stretch your hands beyond your boundaries. So again, it goes back to what I said, that what is your aspiration and how you choose a company. It all matters, because if you have these kind of ways of working, then obviously you will enjoy your management. It is no more a management role. As you said, you're doing something beyond management. You are looking at it very differently. So having that kind of a thought process is help, and thanks to all the organizations that I have worked with, they have given me that exclusivity or liberty to do that work.
Awesome. I think, Srihari, it was a pleasure. These are the questions that we had from me and the audience so far. It was a pleasure to have you. Before I let you go, happy to let us know how, if anyone listening would reach out to you, maybe by any means to take your 2 cents, can someone reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, the best place is LinkedIn. I'm active in LinkedIn, or if they want to follow me on my blogs, they can search for srihariblogs.medium.com. They will arrive at my profile. That's another place where I'm active. If people reach out there, I'll be happy to talk to them.
Awesome. I think I would now let you loose. It's a Saturday evening, so you can make your enjoy rest of the evening with your friends and family. It was a pleasure having you. Thanks a lot. There are a lot of learnings that I think someone can definitely take away. Definitely the first, if I would say, is first knowing that your parents are right. So even if whatever they say, that they always tell you to do the small packets, create every problem in a small division and take it back and solve it. Do not solve it at once. I think that's very interesting. Second, you mentioned about leading it right from the front, wherein you become the face, explain people, and really help your hire hear it from the horse's mouth. That's the second thing. And then obviously the third thing is share your learnings, which you are doing in form of blogs. So whatever you guys know, whatever you've done, whatever learnings that you had throughout your career, start penning it down. You never know how it helps the other people. 3 major learnings for me today. That's a great one, Srihari, to have in an hour with you. It was great to have you today on board. Look forward to
thank you for this session. Thank you for this Beyond Code initiative, bringing in managers who are experienced, sharing their knowledge. helps a lot of people. I'm pretty sure sharing knowledge is something we all have to do. And thanks for this forum that you guys have created. So hats off to you.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to have you, Srihari. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Have a good rest of the evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys, for joining in.